Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to start out with my Uncle Herb very sorry that he couldn't come today, but due to circumstances out of his control, he couldn't make it. So he passed it on to me, and I'll do my best with you. Our mother and grandmother, Elizabeth Hoffman Lord, they call her Lizzy. Elizabeth Hoffman Lord was born November 8th, 1899 in Port Norris to Cy and Elizabeth Robbins Hoffman. She was the fourth child of 10 and the third girl of 6. She grew up and attended Port Norris School. At age 16, she left school to help her mother with the newborn twins, 9 and 10. At age 18, she met a young man named Joseph Marshall Lord Bud from Newport. They courted for about a year and a half and then got married in June 1919. Lizzy and Bud lived in Newport with Bud's parents until they could afford to move to Port Norris. They made the move to Port Norris in 1921. In 1926, they bought land north of Port Norris on Marshtown Road, now North Avenue, with plans to build and operate their own business. In 1928, they opened Bud's Place, which was later renamed Bud's Garage. She was an important part of Bud's Garage in the early years of the business. The woman behind the man. They had a small apartment in the back of the garage. The business was a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation, all run by Lizzy and Bud. She assisted the operation of Bud's Garage and all of its activities. Lizzy opened a small diner consisting of 4 tables, 8 chairs in the storefront of Bud's Garage. She served hot and cold meals and drinks. Also served desserts of her own making, which included cakes, pies, all flavors, including seasonal pies. Lizzy did all the cooking and baking for the diner. She also pumped gasoline, checked oil, plated tires, washed windows, and all the duties that went along with the service station. She also run the cash register and bookkeeping. Sometime in the early 30s, Lizzy and Bud ventured out and started another business on Marshtown Road and Delsey Drive. It was called the Colonial Inn. They sold gas, did repair work, and all the usual things that went along with the service station. Lizzy opened a restaurant at the Colonial Inn. She served a variety of meals, including daily specials. A lot of people came in, but several were unable to pay for their meals. People were still suffering from the Great Depression. The Depression made it hard to continue the business. Lizzy gave away more meals than she sold. It was too expensive to try to keep it going. They sold the Colonial Inn and concentrated on Bud's Garage and her diner. In late 1938, after her 6th child was born, she closed the diner at Bud's, but continued making pies by popular demand. She did that through the late 1950s. Did I tell you she was also raising 6 children? In 1941, they bought a double house across the street, Marshtown Road, from the garage. It was great to get out of a small apartment they had outgrown. Lizzy and Bud put an intercom system in the store. They communicated several times a day on general matters, general business discussions, and not to eliminate what flavor ice cream you want tonight, Lizzy. Now and then, the intercom would be left on with an open key. A few explicit words were transmitted over the intercom. Lizzy and Bud would laugh about it at night because he said he never cussed. So she nailed him on that. They relied on one another and it worked. During World War II, Lizzy volunteered and trained as an airplane spotter, which was part of that Army Air Corps, Army Aircraft Warning System Service, known as AWS. She would man the little station at the peak of the moon several days and nights a week during the course of World War II. The information provided to the Army Air Corps was crucial and essential to the defense of our country at the time. Reporting movement and type of aircraft was one of the only ways to keep up to date with the possible enemy activities. As children, we used to go with her at different times. She would explain that what she was doing, how to identify aircraft after dark, the direction they were flying, what type of aircraft they were, single engine, twin engine, or four engine. Lizzy also was a special duty officer with the Salvation Army. She responded to local emergencies such as flooding, fire disaster, and fire disasters. Essentials that were provided by the Salvation Army were distributed by Lizzy and other volunteers to needy people. She supported churches in South Port Norris when they had the chicken and chitlin dinners. She would buy between 10 and 15 and sometimes more chicken dinners. She was becoming a little hard of hearing in her later years, and on one occasion, Lizzy thought she was ordering chicken dinners. Instead, she bought all chitlin dinners. The family had not acquired a taste for the chitlins. So she gave away all the chitlin dinners to the needy people and bought replacement chicken dinners for us. Lizzy was a member of the Port Norris Methodist Church and often taught Sunday school classes. She helped organize Sunday school picnics, church activities, and other local activities, such as to help organize the 4th of July schoolyard picnics. Lizzy was in charge of Lizzy was in charge of frying oysters at the Methodist Church dinners for several years. The 40 skew fry batter that she made for the oysters was to die for. People from all around Cumberland County would come just for fried oysters. She took care of widows and widowers and people down on their luck by providing them with a place to stay and meals. One of the women took in while she had the restaurant at Colonial Inn. Lizzy fed the woman on a daily basis while at the Colonial Inn and soon became friends. Another owned an antique shop in Cedarville and was forced to give it up, then forced out of her home. Lizzy took her in. Lizzy also took care of several other men and women in the same fashion. No Social Security in their days, just public assistance, which too many people were proud to accept. Lizzy got word that there was a woman that had a broken arm. She hardly knew her, but when she found out that none of the woman's friends or neighbors came forward to help her, Lizzy did. Lizzy took the woman to the doctor and then to the hospital, where she went through several operations on her arm. Lizzy took her home and nursed her back to health. The woman was very grateful and soon became part of the family. She participated in holiday activities with the family and helped Lizzy with the preparations. She stayed with the family until she passed. And I can remember her helping out of us grandkids too. She helped the whole family. In 1961, Lizzy fell and broke both ankles. During her recovery, Queen Elizabeth of England cracked a small bone in her foot at Windsor Castle. Lizzy sent her a get well card and wished her a speedy recovery. The Queen replied to her with a card wishing her the same. Lizzy attended several local clubs. She had her own chair of order in the Eastern Star. Her rank was worthy mating, highest rank of the Eastern Star. She was also a member of the Women's Society and Christian Service. Also a member of the Daughters of America, Port Norris Lodge, and many others. Lizzy had the clubs and organizations that she attended meet at her home for lunch and business matters. She would always make snacks and bake them little treats. The ladies loved them. Lizzy was an avid baker and cook. Holidays, she would have 25 to 30 people at her home for dinner. And when I was a kid, it seemed like 100 people. Lizzy organized a family reunion and prepared food for 59 plus people. Didn't seem like a big deal to her. Did I tell you she had raised 6 children on this? Lizzy played the piano, the zephyr, and harmonica. She would entertain the family with her repertory, and I can remember, and all of us grandkids can remember, just amazed by how she could play that piano and play the mouth organ. And once in a while, she'd get up and do a few Charleston steps for us. Lizzy and Bud were married 57 years before he passed, July 22nd, 1976. Actually, together, they raised 6 children. And also, she had a big heart and an open hand for all of us grandchildren. She helped us all out. She helped the whole family out. Elizabeth Lohr lived her life out in her home in Pompano Beach, Florida. Lizzy had 7 children, 1 stillborn, 12 grandchildren, 27 great-grandchildren, and 3 great-great-grandchildren before her passing. She passed away at November 26, 1994. She was 95 years of age. Elizabeth Hoffman Lohr was the woman behind the man. And I would like to thank Uncle Herb for putting this presentation together, and my Aunt Nancy, my Aunt Betty for giving information out and memories. And I'd also like a big thanks to the Port Norris Historical Society and their members that made this day come possible for Lizzy and her family. Thank you.